I'm going to make an assessment of the 2028 election, presidential election. But it's not a prediction. I'm just saying maybe, and I just have a sense that this is realistically, that this is what will happen. As the Republicans will nominate J.D. Vance, and the Democrats are going to nominate Governor Newsom from California. So it's going to be Vance versus Newsom in 2028. And in that race, it's going to be very close, and just slightly, by 1 or 2 points, Gavin Newsom will defeat Vance, and he's going to be elected in a very close election, just by a few points. Now, I'm just going to go on a limb and make that assessment that I think that's realistic. Now, it's not a prediction. It could be wrong. It could be totally wrong. But that's the way I see it. And Newsom, I think, potentially could win. I really thought the way he handled those wildfires, disaster of the wildfires last January, I thought that was a disqualifier, but I guess not. He's already running pretty much a shadow campaign, but the Democrats will probably nominate Governor Newsom because he's maybe the closest thing to the Democrat version of Trump. His, kind of a loudmouth all over social media, and he's aggressive. He's hitting back to Trump. He's hitting back, and he's super telegenic, kind of like Mamdani in New York. He looks very good on television. He looks very good, like Hollywood movie star, even more than a lot of the movie stars in Hollywood. He really looks more like a Hollywood movie star. His movie star looks even more than a lot of the movie stars in Hollywood. He is. He looks very good, looks wise. If there's any such a thing, and as a beautiful man, it's incredible. He has that look, very much so, and also a personality. I think he's more likable, kind of funny, but more likable than a lot of these other Democrats. They're not likable. You look at the people that were mentioned, and you have to have likability, and he is. I find him to be funny, and I find myself almost being charmed by him, more than these other names that have been mentioned. Governor Shapiro in Pennsylvania, and they meant some of the other. I can't even remember all the people that were mentioned. Andy Beshear from Kentucky, a governor, and they mentioned quite a few names. I can't even think of all of them, and some unknowns that probably no one have even heard of. But likability, has the looks. He's a loudmouth like Trump. He's aggressive, hitting back at Trump. He's all over social media, just like Trump, big on social media. All of that. It's the best they can do. They can't come up with anybody else. They don't want another Kamala disaster. They don't want another. They want to try something different. In the aftermath of their recovery from the Kamala disaster, they're still, trying to recover from that. It's only been a year since that happened to the Democrat Party, which Trump, disintegrated them to smithereens. And with Governor Newsom, I think it's the best they can do. It is really the best they can do, I think. And I think he may be the strongest that they have. And I think in a two-way between Vance and Newsom, I think it could be very close, but I think in a very close race between Vance and Newsom could potentially win over Vance for a number of reasons. So you can leave me your comments on this.